Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So hopefully you all had a wonderful weekend, and you're not experiencing it seems like a lot of the country is experiencing some of the cold we had here in Minnesota all the way down to Georgia. So hopefully that turns around for us. We see summer soon enough. So a couple of articles here. Thanks, Mark, for sending in the Jim Grant, the Endgame for the bull market and bonds. So President Trump's Tuesday morning, this is from a couple weeks ago, morning ultimatum that the boneheads at the Federal Reserve to do something to materialize negative nominal interest rates again prompts the question, where does this all end? In monetary debasement, a bond shakeout, and higher gold prices, of course. Your columnist, so this is written by a columnist, who he says, yeah, I've been arguing for years, but now Rick Ryder, BlackRock's full-time bond investor and part-time blogger, says what's going to happen to bonds. So is BlackRock somebody who knows what they're doing or doesn't know what they're doing, guys? And even they said bonds, we saw that Ray Dalio said being in bonds is crazy. Now BlackRock is saying being in bonds is crazy. So guys, I guess we're comfortable saying at this point that being in bonds is 100% what? Cray. The stock market is pricier than it's been since the dot-com bubble, even as earnings forecasts continue to plunge. So we looked at we've looked over the last year several times at Warren Buffett's GDP versus the price earnings, and what have we found? It's very, very overpriced. But now, what do you think is going to happen? Based on with the coronavirus, where are earnings going, guys? Where are earnings going? Down. Yeah. For how long? Yeah, long. So this is the 2020 S&P 500 consensus earnings forecast. We're not talking 2020. We're talking 2021. This is next year's. So what are we seeing happen? So what will that do for the Warren Buffett indicator? Right now we're at the highest. It's never been pricier right now since the dot-com bubble. What's going to happen over the next year? It's going to become what? Pricier and pricier. I don't know if the market's going to go down, but how much room does it have to go up? I got one, none. How much room does the market have to go up, guys? So I have one person says, so Gerard, did you understand my question? Because are you saying that the market has a lot of room to go up, or did you misunderstand my question? If we're at pricier than we've ever seen since the dot-com bubble, and earnings are going down, do we have room for the market to go up? No, we do not. Cool. So, question for you. If I am a gladiator, and I'm the best gladiator in my city, I am the best gladiator in my city, and I've given two choices. I can either go to an empty stadium or a stadium with 3 average gladiators. Which one am I likely to do I want to go in? The one that with no gladiators, or the one with 2 or 3 average gladiators, even though I'm the best? Which one would I want to go to? Yeah, the empty one. Why? Why would I want to go to the empty one? Could one of those gladiators, even though I'm better than those other gladiators, could they get in a lucky shot? Could they cheat? Could I make a mistake? Yes. Yes, I could. So I want to be in the empty one. So how do I use this analogy because how do we get rid of all other competitors? How does the 5Q system get rid of all other competitors? David's got it. Okay, everybody's getting it. The 21-point checklist. That's right, the 21-point checklist, because we cover things that nobody else covers. We cover things that nobody else covers. And do we get paid for those things? No, we don't. So when somebody insists they just want to talk about the money, do we just cave? When somebody insists they just want to talk about money, do we cave and say, okay, let's just talk about the money? If we do, then guess what? Guess what? We're competing in the empty stadium or the stadium with other with other salesmen. Yeah. salesman. And that's the point I want to make. So guys, attorneys, I don't like attorneys anymore, nobody else. I refer to nobody returns. I refer all my clients to LegalZoom. I'm not a fan of attorneys. That said, are attorneys salespeople or are they advisors? Are they legal advisors or salespeople? They're legal advisors. Because if they were legal salespeople, guess what? When they did a will, guess who they'd make the executor? If they did a trust, guess who they would make the trustee? So are they salespeople or are they advisors? If they got paid, I'm sorry, when I say not executor or trustee, if they made themselves the beneficiaries or the inheritors, then they would be what? Salespeople. They would benefit from doing, they'd be disbarred, sure. But would they, so if they got paid based on the work that they did, not on the tasks they did, but if they get paid by inserting themselves in receiving money from the inheritance, that would be a salesperson. They would sell and why they're so much greater than the other people they've been inheriting. That's it. That is a salesperson. So the reason I bring that up is when you come into a competitive situation, the way you deal with that is you want to let people know there's a difference in salespeople and advisors. Salespeople and advisors. If the only thing the other people are doing is talking about investments, why are they doing that? They get paid. So are they really giving advice? I laugh. You see, though, now that Fisher Investments is no longer going after annuities, now they're going after other advisors, and they're saying, hey, we are registered investment advisors. We are fiduciaries. We only make money when you make money. Guys, what are they? Are they advisors or are they financial salespeople? Yeah, they're salespeople. So if the only thing the other advisors are talking about are investments, are they really acting as advisors or are they acting as investment salespeople? Because if they were truly advisors, would they also show things that cost nothing? Can people invest in things that cost nothing? Yes, they can. So when we run into somebody who just wants to talk about money, I'm assuming who's in the weeds. Even though they don't tell me, when I run into somebody who just wants to talk about money, guess who I assume is in the weeds? Other salespeople, exactly. So when they just want to talk about money, I have to tell them, well, listen, we'll talk about the money, but there's these other things, these non-financial things that can we control what happens in the future with money? Do we have any control, guys, over what happens in the future with money? No. Do we have control over the non-financial things? Making sure that their power of attorney is going to work. Making sure that they have a quality of life directive in place. Making sure that they have a document. Do we have control of that? So should we be chasing things that we don't have control over, or we should be actually doing the things we do have control over? So I have to communicate to them that, hey, we'll talk about the money, but if you don't want to talk about these non-financial things, I cannot take you on as a client because I'm an advisor. If all you're looking for is a salesperson who wants to, show you investments where he's going to make money on them, but doesn't want to do these other things that are just as important, if not more important to you and your family and your security, that I don't get paid on it. I don't get paid on these things, folks. So why would I waste my time doing these things? Because I'm an advisor, not a salesman. If you're looking for a salesman, somebody who's going to get paid on what they sell you, then guess what? I can help you find them. Let's go to the online right now. Tell me what your address is. We'll find a whole bunch of salespeople be willing to work with you. So are you looking for a salesperson or are you looking for an advisor? And how many people are going to say they're looking for a salesperson? How many people, when I've done that, how many people have ever told me they're looking for a salesperson? Nobody. Zero, zippo. And have I mentioned the other person? No. So can they defend the other person if I haven't even mentioned the other person? And would that work whether there's somebody in the weeds or not, whether there's another salesperson in the weeds or not, will that work? Yes. And guys, we do get paid on what we do, but how much do we do that we don't get paid on? I used to tell people I make $1 million a year doing things I don't get paid on. Because when all I did was the investments, I was making 50 grand a year. When I started to do the things I didn't get paid on, guess what? My income went up to $1 million a year. So we're not perfect. We're not purely advisors, but how much more advice are we giving than our competitors, than our other investment salespeople we compete against? So that makes sense? When somebody just wants to talk about the money, you have to stand your ground and have them tell you why the non-financial things are important and why they want to work with an advisor who can also give investment advice, but will give a lot more than just that. Does that make sense to everybody? Do not cave. If you cave, here's the problem. If you say, I have a better investment than the other person, do our competitors lie? Do they exaggerate? So then who's going to win that deal? You, the honest representative, or them? So you got to take it out, go to the stadium with no other competitors. Remove the other competitors from the stadium by talking about the non-financial things that you do and getting their agreement that doing these other things where you don't get paid on, that's true advice versus just selling investments. Does that make sense to you? Good. Okay, so let's talk about the power of email and how to make it work better for you, okay? So when you send out emails, you have to follow up. When somebody's in the process of working with you, you have to follow up. If somebody has ghosted you, you got to follow up. Again, what is the average, not, there's going to be people with less than this and people with more than this, but what is the average amount of touches that you have to touch somebody before they become a client? We got 6, you got 7 to 12, that's right. There's no exact number, but 7 to 12 is right about where most research does come in. So now that means some people, 1 or 2 touches will become a client. Some people, 20 touches will become a client. I've often talked about Tom, who's one of the best people I've seen in 20 years of following up. Some of his people have taken, in fact, we just shared that about a month ago or 2 months ago, where 2 years and 24 follow-ups before the person finally moved $1 million. So guys, don't give up. Once they're in your CRM, follow up. So what you don't want to do, though, is use this phrase. It's horrible. I'm just checking in. Never, never, ever, ever, ever use that phrase. It's basically saying, I'm going to keep sending you these emails until you respond. How long before they put you on their junk list if you do that? And you don't want to end up on the junk list because you no longer can communicate them. So how do we get them back involved if you've been ghosted? Well, one is you can send them a small piece of actionable advice. So you can say, hey, you likely deal with blank. So I thought I'd share a quick tip on many of my clients have found helpful. So what could you put in there? Give me some examples of what you could put in there. What do people deal with? How about you likely deal with years and years of tax returns, and you're wondering, when should I get rid of those tax returns, or when it's okay to shred them? So I thought I'd share a quick tip many of my clients have found helpful. Boom, you give it to them. See, then you just give them the 1 or 2 sentences of advice. The IRS only requires you to keep 7 years, so I would recommend anything past 7 years, you go ahead and shred the tax returns and all that. So what else could you put in here? You likely deal with what? Stress, that's a good one, Gerard. So I thought I'd share a couple of quick times, and again, you probably would do it with a bent towards financial stress. What other things? This is a good one, Gerard. What are other things? Social Security, perfect, Michael. When to take Social Security, awesome, Marcia. So there's all sorts of things you can put in here, okay? And then you just give them 1 or 2 sentences. Will they be happy with that email, or are they going to how to do RMDs? That's also great, Marcia. So are they going to be happy with that email, or are they going to put you a junk you if you send them that? Yeah, they're going to be happy with that. Send over how-to guide and offer the follow-up. So are you wondering about blank? Here's a free ebook that I give to my clients. So what are things you could put there? And guys, do we have resources for ebooks for you to send people? Yes. So we have these ebooks: do-it-yourself investing, legal planning, long-term care planning, tax planning. What do you get from your portfolio? We have Easy Guide to Medicare. We have Keeping Your Mind Young. We have Fit and Active Healthy Package. We have Social Security Package. We have Grandparents Essential Toolkit. We have the Legacy Letter. We have how to squeeze every drop out of your life. We have a third, and then of course that's our 21-point checklist. But do we have lots of things that you could send them with an email like this? Yeah. Send them an article or a blog post. You noted before that you were interested in blank. I saw this article and thought of you. If you're in a rush and can't read it all, here's the section that seems like it would be particularly useful. So when you're reading in the Wall Street Journal and Kiplinger's or whatever you're reading and all the blogs that you follow, if there's things that you find that might interest your clients, guess what you should do? Forward them. But how many people really want to read a whole bunch of boring stuff that you might find interesting? So point them to the one section that they might want to read, okay? And what does that say when you point them to that section? That you're actually thinking about them and making their life easier? Because if somebody just sends me a whole article to read, do I really need that in my life right now? A whole new article to read? No, I want just one piece of, what's the thing in that article that you thought was important that I should know? And then point me to that one thing. Does that make sense? Or highlight it. I mean, we got all sorts of technology now. Highlight it before you send it to them. Invite them to an event or to watch a video. Last time we talked, you mentioned that you're currently focusing on blank. It could be fishing. This does not even have to be financial. It could be fishing. It could be travel to Spain. It could be whatever. And if you find something, pop it in there. Send it to them. What you're doing here is creating what? The relationship. You're creating an aura about yourself, about what they should expect from you. And every time they get something from you, they're getting what? Hey, just checking in. If you just say, hey, checking in, what does that tell them you're worried about? Just checking in, just checking in. Gerard says yourself. Yeah, Dale says yourself. Tom says the sale. That's right. If you're just checking in, they know the only reason you're checking in is you're like, where are we in the sales process? Where are we in you getting the money to me? Where are we on getting you to sign the piece of paperwork? That's what they hear when you say, I'm just checking in. You got to give them a reason to follow up. Send them a book or a podcast recommendation. Hey, I know you said you're interested in blank. I just read this book on blank. I thought you'd find the chapter. Again, don't tell them the whole book. Just say, hey, just one chapter we'd find particularly interesting. Or you could say, hey, I know you said you're interested in blank. I just listened to a podcast on blank. I thought you'd find the conversation at 10:32. Particularly, again, I pointed them right exactly where to go. How much do I really appreciate it when somebody doesn't want me to listen to a whole 45-minute podcast that I'm not interested in, but instead tells me to go right to the right place? I love it. I love it. Call attention to something that their peers are doing particularly well. Hey, I see that many investors are doing particularly well lately. Do you have any plans in addressing it? I have some ideas if you want to schedule a call. So doing particularly well in whatever may be, particularly well in finding all other alternatives to bonds for safety. What other kind of things have investors doing? Particularly well in taking a deep breath. Particularly well in ferreting out the best investments during the time period where we are right now. So give them a reason to call you. Bring up a common challenge your customers face and ask if they have to face the same challenge. Hey, the clients I work with often face blank. Have you experienced anything similar? If so, I have several ideas that might help, like blank, or one or two sentences and tips in the tip. If you'd like to hear more, I'm free to call blank or blank. The clients I work with often face the low interest rates and finding a good place for their cash and save money. Have you experienced anything similar? If so, I have several ideas that might help, like blah, 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 blah. Reach out about a new challenge that is affecting people like them. It's been a while since we talked. There's been some big shifts and shakeups with the market, with the Federal Reserve, with interest rates. with Social Security, with Medicare, since we last spoke, like blankety blank. Can we quickly touch base on how this might affect you and how to insulate you from it? Anything hot off the press, blank, has been all over the news. There are a couple of effective ways to deal with it. Guys, this is the best way to get people to call you back. If something, listen to the news. Listen to the news. And if it's talked about on the news last night, guess when a great time to send this email out is? Immediately, the next day. So this is way back, in the early 2000s. Does anybody recall? I don't remember what the name of this gal was, but there was a big fight. There was a gal that was in a coma, and she had a girlfriend, and the parents and the girlfriend fought over whether to let her go or not to let her go. Does anyone remember that case? But it was in the news a lot. So a lot of our guys basically, Shavo, that's what it is, yep. So they basically would, anytime it was in the press, they would use that very effectively to ask people, have you got a quality of life directive? We see in the news with Shavo that how important that is. If you need one, give me a call. There it is, Terry Shavo, that's right. So that's, our guys got a ton of leads and people wanting to meet with them for that quality of life directive during that time. So, and guess what? They turned the quality of life directive into financial clients. So if you hear something hot off the press, when the Fed does something, put out an email about it. When if the market crashes, when should you have an email? When the market crashed, how many of you had your CRM set up so when the market crashed that day, you sent out an email to all your warm lists? If not, you should learn a lesson and make sure you're ready to go the next time. Because anytime something hits the news, send something out. You could send the same email out, filling in the blank over and over and over all year long, and this thing will make you so much money. This will make you so much money. Listen to the news and leverage it. One last try to rise from the dead. Hey, just want to check in case my email got buried. Did you get it? Or you could say, still ghosting you, and then you could terminate them. So at the end, hey, I tried several times to get back in touch with you and haven't heard back. I'm assuming you've gone a different way. Mind if I shred your file? If you're still interested but tied up, no problem. Just let me know. We'll keep the file open. Just give me a date and when you want me to reach back. Guys, how many people do I want in my maybe? My maybe will become a client filing cabinet. None. The reason being is because I had a filing when I was making 50 grand a year, especially that last year I made 50 grand when I saw 300 people, did 101 case analysis, had $34 million sitting there. I had all that $34 million in my maybe cabinet. What did I really have in the maybe cabinet? None. But because I had $34 million in the maybe cabinet, I actually thought I did okay that year until I actually crunched the numbers and found out I didn't do. I made 50 grand. Of the $34 million, I only closed 800,000. In my mind, I thought I was doing okay because I got in front of all that money, and maybe sometime I might be able to get that money. No. So in the end, I have to ask people: do you want me to keep your file open, or do you not? Do you want me to terminate you or not? If I shred the file, that means if you ever want to come back, we have to start the whole process all over again. But I do let them know. But if you really are busy, if you really are tied up, and you haven't gotten back to me because things are outside your control or preventing that, no problem. Call me back. But if you're just being nice, and you don't want to actually tell me get lost, that's not helping me. It's not helping you. Just tell me to get lost, and I'm more than happy to get lost. And what do most people say at that point? Well, it's about I'd say 3 to 1. 3 people are going to say get lost, and 1 is going to say no. Let's get together. I'm sorry for putting it. They'll apologize and want to meet with you. So is it better to have 4 people in the maybe file, or 1 or 2 people that say take a hike, and 1 or 2 people get back into the process again? So that's how you end the deal. Now, will I still, if they say get lost, will I still drip on them with epidemic marketing? Absolutely, I will. I'm just not going to send them one-on-one emails. Hey, check it in, because they've said no. I don't want to do that anymore. And if you lost the deal, what should you do? give up? No. You send out an email about a month later saying, hi, it's been a month since you went a different plan. How are things going? I mean, anything I can do to help, just let me know, because I'll always leave a light on for you. Now, why do I do that, guys? Why do you want to do that? Well, that's true. Maybe they didn't do anything. That's one thing. Keep the opportunity open. Yep, absolutely. And here's the funny thing that happens. Just like you, if you've ever been with some FMOs, and we have guys that leave us sometimes, and they come back within a month. Why? Because that other FMO promised what? The sun and the moon. And then as soon, and really, were they going to give them the sun and the moon, or were they promising the sun and the moon just to get them to move? Just to get them to move. And then when they move, guess what they found out? The marketer was there giving them the sun and the moon, or they moved on to the next victim to get them to move over. Yeah. And have we all experienced have our clients experienced it, where the advisor says they're going to give them the sun and the moon, and then when they move over, they're very attentive. They get back to their emails, they return phone calls, they're very attentive. And as soon as the client moves, what happens to that tender, loving care? Goes out the window. And if you a month later send them this email, they're thinking, holy crap, this guy didn't even get the deal, and he's treating me better than the guy who got the deal. So don't ever give up on people when they've left you. Make sense? Keep them in the CRM. Now, where do we have all these things? So you don't have to write them down. So if you go to the library and then go to the archive library, and then you see the ghosted and follow-up emails, we have that right here. So we have the gold standard that we were given a long time ago, using Odell as a joke about what do we say here? I can't remember what the subject line is.
So
we're making a joke about our song. Is that the subject line? I must have called 1,000 times.
Yep.
And then and then we have the picture. Then, but seriously, last time we spoke, you wanted to talk to blah blah blah. So that's kind of a fun way to do it. But then all the ones that we covered today, they're all in here. So if you ever need, and heck, could you start out at number 2, then go to number 3, then do number 4, number 5? It's a case that you wanted. Could you send them all of these a week apart or 2 weeks apart? Absolutely. And are they ever going to get tired if you're constantly doing these things for them, giving them value, value, value? And again, even if they didn't become a client, how much more value, just like our 21-point checklist with the non-financial things, even if they don't go with you, how much more value over a 3-month period, if you send them all these things, have you provided than their current advisor? Tons. So does that make sense? Coolio. Well, that's all I got for today. Thanks for being on the call. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.